Well, guys, the stock market is crashing, and as predicted, see my video in December, I predicted exactly the time. So everyone can always predict a recession, but to predict it exactly, that's what I did. And in December, if you remember, the stock market was going through a massive boom. Tesla was surging. Everyone's like, AI, wow, oh my gosh. And I said, by the end of February, it will all crash. Now, am I a genius? No, I'm not a genius. The reason it was obvious, you can see the video there, and I'll explain to you here. The whole thing was propped up by a government deficit. 7% budget deficit, that's what Biden was doing. He had unlimited, the budget control, he had unlimited spending, and he did 7% in his last year, which is obscene, right? That's the highest peacetime, non-corona, whatever time deficit ever. And it was just to prop things up. He was hiring tons of federal workers for no reason, to stare at walls and, I don't know, look at the grass. And he was funding the green rubbish, just throwing money at companies to do nothing. And yeah, that's basically was propping everything up. So everyone was happy, everyone was smiley, but it was all based on fake money. Now, Trump has to do this. Trump has no choice. Elon Musk has no choice. They have to do this or else the US is finished. Already then we were seeing people were like, we don't want to really buy US debt anymore. We don't trust the US government. Is not, they can't default, but they're going to like inflate away the debt. We don't trust it anymore. And that is what they were doing, right? Inflation in the US is very high still. It's 3%, 3.5% if you go by PCE. It's still high, right? And it's remained high. It's never got to the 2% level they want it. Never, not even touched it. And it keeps on going up against expectations. So last time they predicted 2.8%, it actually was 3. So it's going against what they think. And that's because they're just printing money and going into debt in order to keep the show going. So Trump has no choice. He has no choice. And I respect the guy for doing it because no other politician would do this. Literally, you're causing a recession. That is what he's going to do. He's going to trigger it. And how? Well, it's obvious. Once you stop spending money on all this rubbish, which was supporting everything, then let's say he's just fired 10,000 workers, federal workers. Well, then they can't go to the shop across the street to buy the pizza. And then that one has to cut workers and he can't, pay for more supplies coming from the cheese guy down the road. And it's a circle of destruction. That's how a recession works. So once you suck out the consumption from the system, which is what he's doing, you're finished. Now, just to tell you how bad things were, how much it was propped up, you have to see this video. I don't know, find it on the internet. It was the most amazing video. It was the US government was paying people's mortgages. The US government is still, in fact, paying 1 million people's mortgages just so they don't go delinquent on their mortgages. They don't default. They're all subprime mortgages. And this is all from the FHA. The FHA is a first-time home building allowance. You put down 3%, ridiculous, and the government pays for the rest. So these people couldn't pay it in a billion years. They put down just 3%. And the government pays for the rest. They can't even pay that minimal amount. The government obviously backs those loans, and they cannot pay even the interest on those loans. They can't pay. So they say, we've got distress. Once they say that, the government immediately came in and started paying their mortgages because they don't want it to go bankrupt. They don't want the housing market to collapse. Now, I'll tell you why this is mad. Because 1 million homes in all of America, okay, not so bad. But no, FHA homes are sold in very specific location, the Sun Belt location. So Phoenix, Arizona, Fort Worth, Texas, Orlando, Florida. Those are the 3 big ones where these 1 million are found. And if they were allowed to not pay, i.e. they can't pay, right? If the government didn't pay their mortgage, the entire markets would crash. Now, what are the hottest housing markets in America? Well, you guessed it. Phoenix, Fort Worth, and Orlando, right? Those are the hottest markets only because of this government support of the thing. And they're still doing it. And Trump has not mentioned that he's going to cut it because it would cause a subprime mortgage collapse, exactly the same as 2008. I would say worse because the prices are way, way, way higher than that, right? And people just don't have the money. So it is currently, the government is currently funding to prop up the housing market That is how ridiculous the US is. We also have 6.6% highest ever auto loan delinquencies, highest ever. Again, I am including 2008 in this data. 6.6% of auto loans are delinquent, highest on record, right? Then we've got credit card delinquency, not highest on record, still 2008 was worse, but very high since then, right? The highest since then, let's go with. This is quite mad. We also have the highest amount of stated firings, what do you call it? Like, they're going to fire people this month, which is at 220,000. That is the highest since 2009, which was a 2008 crash, where they had 400,000. But still, 200,000 is the highest since then. Stated people that are going to be fired this month. So, and that's with Doge not even starting 10,000 federal workers. They really want to go all the way. So you have to understand we are in a quagmire now. It's over. Trump has had to trigger this because they cannot keep funding a 7% budget deficit. And he has to clear the decks. And let's just hear Elon Musk for 1 second.
There was a report issued by the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, last year. So during the Biden administration, which estimated the federal government fraud to be $500 billion. So just to be clear, that's not a Trump administration thing, that's a Biden administration thing.
And as you heard, this is the Biden administration that identified $500 billion worth of fraud. I mean, Elon's found even more. Obviously the people over 100 still being paid Social Security, but now he's found even worse. He found they gave loans, business loans, to businesses where the directors were under 11 years old. I promise you, they have businesses they're giving loans to where the director is kids, essentially, of these fraudsters who are under 11, and that they were given government-backed loans. I think the fraud is epic, and Trump government is trying to get a hold of it. They're being condemned. It is going to cause a mass depression, but it has to be done. It has to be done, and this will allow the US to thrive afterwards. All the other governments, now everyone's looking at this and like, yeah. The UK also runs a 7% deficit. France also runs a 7% deficit. And France is in a worse position, but they're not dealing with it. And so while the US now is dealing with it, they will come out of this, and this is what Trump is hoping, like Reagan. Reagan on purpose triggered a recession in 1980 when he got into power, so that by the end of it, they were coming out and he got re-elected. Now, Trump obviously has no re-election, but he wants, at the end of his term, to have solved this. And so that's why immediately he is triggering not a recession, this is a depression. He is triggering a depression to wipe the deck clean and therefore be able to restart, like a forest fire. Forest fires are very good. Forest fires allow, in fact, it's very natural. 80% of forest fires are natural. All the dead wood is cleaned and allows new shoots and new things to spring up. And there is tons of deadwood in that federal government, tons of waste, tons of corrupt spending, tons of left-wing, corruption, all left-wing, sick buying votes, fake protests, fake outrage, fake, everything fake. Everything with the left is fake, and he's getting rid of it. Good for him. And so, yes, as I predicted, we are in recession, and that's the way it's going to be. I'll just end it off with another beautiful Elon Musk. Sit back and enjoy.
Why are the 20 million people who are definitely dead marked as alive in the Social Security database? Why were hundreds of millions of dollars of Small Business Administration loans were given out to people aged 11 and under, according to the Social Security? I mean, like, these must be some very enterprising 8-year-olds,
And some pretty strong 150-year-olds.
Yes, exactly. As the president said, we have an enormous number of people marked as alive who are 160. He didn't know the country was that healthy.